Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Talk More Talk, a solo Beatles video cast where we talk about all things from the solo era as well as occasionally the Beatles. We are really excited to be here and talk about, I think it's going to be a fun topic tonight, which is top 10 not top 10 Beatles, top 10 John Lennon songs that we can't live without. Joe's t-shirt was distracting.
Wrong shirt.
That's my excuse. So yes, top 10 John Lennon songs we can't live without is if you were going to a deserted island like I am right now, and you could only take 10 songs with you. Which ones would they be and why? So we, of course, encourage you all to share your picks as well. But before we get to that, we have news to get to. And I think we're going to be talking about a little, little news item that happened this week. Paul's return to the road. So we've got a lot to cover. And as always, we welcome your comments. So before we get to all that, as always, we'll introduce ourselves. My name is Kit O'Toole. I am the author of Songs We Were Singing, Guided Tours to the Beatles' lesser-known tracks, Michael Jackson FAQ, All That's Left to Know About the King of Pop. And I'm the co-editor, along with our good friend Ken Womack, of Fandom and the Beatles, the act you've known for all these years. And I am so thrilled. It's been a while since all four of us have been here. And thanks to some illness, some conflicts, just a perfect storm of stuff. So but we're all back in the house tonight. And I'm just so happy to be here with my friends. Starting with, he is the co-host of the popular podcast and video cast, the Paul McCartney centric Two Legs, where you will find shows on all things McCartney from the Wings years, the solo years, and they do tape shows, live shows. There's a great show that's up right now where where Tom interviews a fan right after she went to Paul's opening night show. It's a great show. Do check it out. So say hello to Tom Hunyadi. Hey, Tom, how's it going?
It's going great. I wish I was where you are. I mean, but we all can't be the queen. So, hello, and Joe and Ken, it's good to see you guys again. And thanks again to Mark and Chip for covering for Joe and Ken. But it's always good to have these two back, and it's like home again. It's like the family is back together.
That's right.
Tonight.
Here. Yep. Indeed. And next up, he is the host of the very popular YouTube channel Mean Mr. Mayo. You will find him discussing his adventures in vinyl collecting, his adventures at his local record store, where you'll find a great cast of characters. He does live chats, just a little bit of everything. And we should also congratulate him. He is now officially a retired man. So say hello to Joe Mayo. Hello, Joe.
Hey, hello, kid. Hey, the Sun Queen. How are you? And hello to the two gentlemen that I love doing the show with too, Tom and Ken, who's not yet introduced, but it's okay. Good to be here as always.
Absolutely. We're glad to have you back. And last but definitely not least, here's a man that never gets any sleep, I don't think, because all right, get ready for the list, folks. Because here's the list, folks. He hosts the syndicated show Every Little Thing, where he plays just that, every little thing from the solo and Beatles years, organized around really clever themes. He is the co-host of the very popular podcast Things We Said Today. How popular, do you ask? Well, just ask Peter Jackson, who personally contacted them to be on their show. In addition,
4 hours.
4 hours, exactly. In addition, then to co-hosting this show, he even has his own YouTube channel, folks, Ken Michaels Radio, where you never know who will turn up. He'll interview authors, musicians, podcasters, videocasters, and TikTokers. His latest,
I saw that one.
That's right. His latest episode, he interviews a Beatles TikToker. So as I said, the man who never gets any sleep, Ken Michaels. Hello, Ken.
Thank you, Kit. Hi to Tom and to Joe. I love you back out there, Kit, because for a moment I thought we were going to do another show on Gontrapo.
Yeah, really. We have to do a sequel.
Right. I thought we were going to do a Billy Joel show for a minute too.
Oh yeah, top 10 Billy Joel songs.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Well, again, welcome everybody, and we are dying to know your John Lennon the songs you can't live without. But first, we want to get to the news. So, Ken, what have you got for us?
Okay. First of all, we'll start with, as you mentioned, Kit, Paul McCartney kicked off his Got Back tour in Spokane, Washington last Thursday night. And actually, a few days before that, he went on Twitter and he asked his fans if there's any songs they could suggest that they'd like him to do in concert. Although he was sent lists of songs based on his first concert, his set list didn't vary all that much. But we're going to talk a bit more about that at the end of this newscast. We'll all have our say about Paul's set list. Okay. Also, just released digitally is the new song from the Umoza Music Project, an African band from Malawi. And Paul plays bass on their song called Home, which is the title track to their album, which is due out May the 27th. Paul recorded his bass during lockdown, the worldwide lockdown, at his home studio. The album features singers on the banks of Lake Malawi, collaborating with other musicians, many of which are from the UK. Really good song you should check out because it's on YouTube. Wonderful singers, these African singers, and you get to hear Paul play bass. It's mixed up pretty well. In fact, there's even a moment there towards the end where he kind of has, he does have a bass solo. How often does that happen? But check it out. The song.
Yeah, I was going to say it is some of the even I'd say some of the best bass playing he's done in a long time. I mean, he's done some great bass playing recently, but wow, I mean the solo, and he's long, as we know, been fascinated with African music, and just incredible playing. So I agree. Check it out.
Yeah, I'm glad this group reached out to him and asked him to contribute something, and so it's during lockdown, this was something that he spent time doing, so it's worth listening to. Again, it's the Umoza, Umoza Music Project, and the song Home. On April 23rd, Paul also posted a photo taken by Linda of him with George Harrison and George Martin for St. George's Day. And Paul wrote, "For the Georges I have known and loved, have a great St. George's Day." Really nice of Paul to post that. With special thanks to one of our listeners, Nick Butler, we learned that many of the albums released on the Dark Horse label besides George are now available for streaming on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon. And this means artists like Splinter, Jim Horn, Ravi Shankar, Attitudes, The Stairsteps, Jiva, and Henry McCullough. A lot of stuff right there worth exploring, some with participation from George. Okay. We'd love for it to come out physically, but for right now, and we don't know if it will ever come out physically, but at least they're putting it out digitally. And a reminder that Olivia Harrison's book of 20 poems for George, called Came the Lightning, will be out June 21st as a mass market item for $35 from Genesis Publications. There will also be a collector's copy version and a deluxe version as well, all of which are detailed on the publisher's website, which is genesispublications.com. That's genesis-publications.com. Also, lightning is not like thunder and lightning. It's a little play on words. It's Came the Lightning. So clever there with the title. Also, our listener, Greg Thurman, let us know that the May issue of Recording Magazine includes a 9-page article on Get Back the documentary and the technical side of it. It's written by Mark Hornsby. I also found out just today that the documentary, The Beatles and India, is coming out on both DVD and Blu-ray. The date for that is June 21st, but you can now pre-order it on Amazon. Also, you should check out on my other podcast, Things We Said Today. We did an interview a couple months ago with Pete Compton, who is the co-director for that film. And you, Kit, you wrote an article about the Beatles in India on Something Else Reviews, which we should all take a look at and read.
Absolutely. It's well worth seeing. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie. Well, and the
article. Yeah, and the
article.
Review. Right, yeah.
And Things We Said Today. Also, with thanks to our colleague Ken Womack, we find out that there is a new book out called The Rise and Fall of Father Lennon, all about John's great uncle, William George Lennon, written by Philip Kirkland. And Ken Womack himself has written the foreword for it. And it's now available to order on paperback and Kindle. And also, Tom, everybody's sending me news here. Tom sent me the news about Willie Nelson, who has just released a new album called A Beautiful Time, in which he's covered the Beatle classic With a Little Help from My Friends. You've already got it. Look at that.
Yes.
This man is on the ball.
Always on it.
Well, I mean, it helps that I'm a huge Willie Nelson fan too. So, but yeah, it's a pretty good cover.
Okay. I love Willie. I love everything he stands for. And the fact that he's his age and he's still out there as active as ever. You might recall also that Willie just recently covered All Things Must Pass, which was on the album The Willie Nelson Family, which came out last November. And going back to the tribute album to Paul McCartney, The Art of McCartney, Willie covered yesterday. Also, 3 weeks ago, we got to hear 20 seconds of a demo that Paul McCartney made of the song Attention, which he gave to Ringo for what was to be his Stop and Smell the Roses album. Paul and Linda appear on 3 songs on Ringo's album, and this demo was given to saxophonist Howie Casey to prepare him for the sessions. Howie submitted it for auction for Omega Auctions, and that auction actually took place already on April 26th. This demo was on a Maxell C60 cassette tape with handwritten labels. The back of the cassette lists, handwritten, the songs Attention, Carl Perkins' song, Sure to Fall, which Paul recorded with Ringo for the album. And it also says Route 66 with Berry next to it, as in Chuck Berry. Chuck covered the song, even though he didn't write it. The entire demo for Attention runs at 4 minutes and 2 seconds, but what you can hear on YouTube still is 20 seconds of it. All right. And one last thing, I wish I had more information about this, but still no word on the forthcoming archival box set for sometime in New York City. Been waiting to hear something. The actual anniversary is in June, so you would have thought we'd have heard something, but...
Yeah.
That's not promising.
Right. One other thing too is I've noticed that we were supposed to get the Ringo the Fourth record store day this past record store day in April, and it looks like it was then moved to June. But then now looking at the June list, it looks like it's not there either. So I'm wondering now if it's going to be postponed to the the Black Friday record store day. Yeah. So
there are going to be 3 record store days this year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's everything I got for now.
All right. Interesting. Well, thank you, Ken. Always on the spot with the latest. And so now, before we get to our main topic, I'm sure all of you have seen all the discussions online for the past few days about Paul's opening night in Spokane, Washington, for his Got Back tour. And I always, when I say it, I hear Sir Mix-a-Lot in my head, but that's a whole different story. And come on. We of course got loads of reports from people who were there. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Tom did a great interview with Joan, who had seen Paul how many times? Over 60 times?
That was her 68th time seeing Paul, and she's still going to see him another 7 during this tour, I think it
Damn.
was.
Wow. That is amazing. So if you want to get a first impression kind of report, do, as I mentioned, check out Two Legs. But we do have, and I'm sure many of you have seen the set list. So let's talk a little bit about that now that we know what it is. So reactions. So let's start, since I talked about Two Legs, let's start with you, Tom. What are your thoughts on the set list?
Well, before I start, let's just get the one thing out of the way. We're all grateful he's still touring. We're all thankful he's still with us. I mean, I think we can all agree that this means a lot to all of us, that we still have the option to see Paul McCartney live if we want to. I think that's a great thing. And, we were talking before we went live about, these, kids still get the, this opportunity to see him. And that's a great thing too. And however, honestly, this is a lazy set list, and I apologize if that pisses anybody off. But again, this is just, I was going back to 2015. I think there was like 15 songs from 2015 are here in 2022. I mean, it's still the same thing over and over and over again. And I understand, we've talked about this before. There's going to be half the audience has probably still never seen them, and you've got to give them those songs. And I get it. Trust me, I get it. One of the great things for me was seeing a family in 2019, seeing Paul for the first time and seeing their reaction. It was absolutely priceless. Mm-hmm. Okay. That being said, he's got another half of a fan base that wants to be, happy as well. I mean, yes, we're happy, okay, but and the show starts, and we forget about the set list. We're just having a great time. But still, in 2015, he did something that I wish he would just continue doing from every tour past then. Do you remember what he did in 2015 that surprised everyone?
A temporary secretary.
Temporary secretary.
Yeah. Okay.
And this would be the only thing that would make me happy, is just one song that you would not expect him to do, and that would take away all of my gripes. You know what I mean?
In 2005, it was Too Many People was one I didn't expect.
Yeah.
Right. If he would just continue like doing that, just like one tour, just pop out a temporary secretary, that would take care of the hardcore fans.
I want
Guarantee.
two.
Oh, well, see, there you go. Now we're getting
greedy.
greedy. Yeah, we're
Two songs.
but still, listen. Again, for me personally, it's a lazy set list, and songs like you can't tell me that people want to see In Spite of All the Danger. And he's been doing that a lot lately. I see people when he does My Valentine. I understand why it's there. I get it. But, I see lines just, the last time I saw him twice, saw him do it live. I saw lines of people just leaving,
Beer
to
run.
go to the bathroom or do a beer run, So it's frustrating a little bit, being for the benefit of Mr. Kite. Why is he still doing that? I can go on and on. I'm not, because I want you guys to get an opportunity too, but it's just frustrating to see a man that is going to cater to he's catering to the Beatle people, and it's frustrating because 52 years of a solo career, and then on top of that, you only do one song from McCartney 3.
Yeah.
And just because we're grateful he's still here and he's still touring, that doesn't excuse him from being criticized or getting critical or you know what I'm talking about, constructive
Critiquing 'em.
criticism.
Yeah.
Critique.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Okay, Joe, what are your thoughts?
Same thing. I was disappointed, especially after there was that Facebook bit where I don't know if it was Paul himself or his people on the Paul McCartney page saying, "What would you like me to do?"
Yeah.
Everybody had a whole host
Yeah.
of things. Not that you realistically expect every person to get their wish or anything, but I thought, maybe there's a small chance that this time he's going to be open to doing some different songs, and it's the same old, largely, and disappointing. And I made a video on my channel on Mean Mr. Mayo talking about that. And of course, I don't expect everyone to agree with me. Some people agreed, a lot of people agreed, and people did not agree. But then some of them, they get personal. Well, what kind of fan are you? And you should be just pretty damn happy that he's still here, as Tom was saying, and doing anything at all. And he could do whatever he wants. Paul doesn't have to answer anybody. He can do whatever he wants. I'm not arguing that. If Paul can do it whatever he wants, but I can also give my opinion, and that's all it is my opinion on what I feel. For me, well, personally, for me, I'm reporting on my own feelings, and I just was disappointed. And Of course, the whole thing is that there's always new people that for the first time seeing him, young people, newbies, and older too that haven't. I know some older people that haven't never gotten to see him or didn't take the plunge yet, so to speak, and they're going to want to hear those key songs. So I get it also, like Tom was saying. I get it. It's a slippery slope. You have to kind of please everyone in a way. How do you do that? And I think, as Tom was saying, you put one song in there or two. Uh, that's really what will knock your socks off. Put Cafe on the Left Bank in there. Open up the show with Getting Closer, Back to the Egg, or something like that. I'll be like, oh, this is fantastic. And I could forgive the rest of the repetition just for that. And Tom already said I was going to bring up as well. Wow, he only did Women and Wives off McCartney 3, and that really shocked me more than anything because I thought he would do a couple. I thought at least Women and Wives, I figured was a sure bet.
Mhm.
I figured he would do maybe Lavatory Lil, which seems simple enough and a little bit more, upbeat. Wouldn't bore people who didn't know it. And Find My Way.
Especially that.
Those
Yeah.
three I thought we was going to do if I was a betting man. So yeah, disappointed, but yeah, hey, the fact that the man is still alive and wants to work and wants to please people, wants to get out there and entertain people, that's
Right.
very important. I don't ever take that for granted. I think that's fantastic. Just telling you my opinion. That's all.
No, and I think that's very true. I mean, that of course we're grateful that he can still get out there and perform, and that's wonderful. I mean, he's almost 80, for God's sake.
May I
That's great.
may I say something here? It's perfect time. This guy here, he's in our comments right now.
Yeah.
One of the ones on my video, Dave Pounds,
Mhm.
and he says he's not doing songs for people like you four. Don't go to his show if you don't like the songs. People want to hear the hits you are sick of. See, there's no need for that kind of confrontational nonsense, as far as I'm concerned. There's no need for that.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, because
but
and I'm going to address that in my comments in a second too. But Ken, why don't we hear from you? What do you think
Well,
of?
I certainly agree with both what Tom and Joe were saying. I'm really torn between the two sides of me where, and I have said for years the same thing. This man doesn't have to do anything for the rest of his life.
Mm,
He doesn't owe us a thing. He doesn't owe us
right.
concerts. He doesn't owe us new albums. If he wanted to spend the rest of his life with Nancy, with his kids, with his grandkids, he deserves it. The fact that he's spending any time at all, no pun intended, any time at all with us fans here, life is precious. He's almost 80. Every single
Yeah.
day that he spends on this planet is precious, and he's spending it with us. And the mere fact that he wants to do this, that he genuinely enjoys performing, That alone is good enough for going. But for me, my only major complaint is that this guy is not just a Beatle to me.
Right.
He's one of the greatest artists and songwriters of all time. If all he ever had was his solo catalog, he has one of the greatest catalogs ever from any artist. And, you know, I don't go to see Paul McCartney to hear mainly a Beatles concert. You know,
Yeah.
I want to hear a cross section of everything from all the decades. And I'm not saying you have to go deep into all of his albums and play album cuts that weren't hits. You could play hits that he's never done live before. And we've
Hell on
talked about
Wheels.
it many times.
Mhm.
He's never done Take It Away. He's never done Hell on Wheels.
Yeah.
He's never done With a Little Luck, you know? And Joe, you mentioned Getting Closer. Obviously, I think about the UK tour of 1979 when he was doing songs from Back to the Egg, and then he got busted in Japan, and we never got to see that tour in the United
Yeah.
States. Wouldn't it be great if he pulled something out of Back to the Egg? Play Getting Closer, play Arrow Through Me, you know,
Yes.
anything. He's got Uncle Albert Animal Halsey, a #1 hit in the US, and he's never done that live ever in his career. You know, I've argued about The World Tonight, which I think would be a great live cut, you know. What can I say? I'm grateful that he does anything at this point. But if I had a catalog like Paul's, I'd be so proud of it and I would want to showcase it.
Thank you.
And it's going to be a crime when someday he's no longer with us and we don't have a lot of great songs that he's done that he's never done live before and never will, you know. And I get the fact, yes, he's got to do Let It Be, Hey Jude, those songs. Notice once again, he's not doing Yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a real surprise.
He wasn't doing Right Before COVID. People were making a point about that. It was a shock, you know. I mean, for a lot of people, that's a signature song for him. But you know, I just think that he doesn't really either. He just wants to go out and have fun and enjoy himself and do this and entertain people. And he knows that everyone's going to love what he does. And that alone is enough for him. And he puts his ego aside and he doesn't say, well, I want you to know all these songs from my catalog that you may not know. So some people admire him for that. In fact, I remember when Paul was in Rolling Stone with the interview with Taylor Swift, and Taylor was saying those very same words. She admires the fact that when he goes out and does a show, he does what he thinks the public wants, not what he wants. Me, I'd rather he do only what he wants. I would find that far more fascinating, you know? But I understand, and yes, I've said this a number of times, and you touched on it, Tom. One of the great thrills for me in seeing McCartney live is to see somebody near you who's never seen him live, and to be so thrilled to hear these songs that are part of our DNA. You know, to see people be in shock when he does Live and Let Die with the fireworks. It's like, he's been doing this since 1975, folks, with Live and Let Die. You know, it's not, but so many people don't know that. I have a next door neighbor, just moved in recently, loves the Beatles, never saw any of them live. And I know it's shocking to think that there are people in this world who have never seen Paul or Ringo live or any of them, but there are millions of people that have never seen him live who are not going to complain about this set list. But if you know his catalog well, and you know there's so many jewels in there that he's never touched on in concert, I think it's a tremendous crime.
And I wonder what the percentage of the audience, we can't really tell 100%, but what's the percentage of audience that have seen him multiple times already and who are seeing him for the first time? Tom, I think you were saying you thought maybe, like you were just saying 50.
Let's say it if it is 50-50.
It might be 75% maybe have seen him already.
Yeah.
Right. I'm wondering.
Maybe, who knows? Exactly. Who knows? But you know, it's still you're pretty much ignoring, decades of your career. you know,
Yeah.
just to please a certain percentage of fans that are there. You know, I know a lot of these kids, they love the Beatles. You know, and they want to share that with their older family member. I get that, but you know,
Yeah.
you gotta.
I mean,
Excuse me. How about what do you folks think of this? One really unusual song, like you said, a deep song or something you wouldn't expect him to do
Mhm.
every show. Like just do a
Yeah.
different one every
Yeah.
show. One
What
song.
would be wrong with that?
that'd be cool.
What would be
I'd
wrong
like
with
to
that
know.
at all? Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You
Can
know,
I say one more thing?
yeah.
We're reacting to the first show.
Right.
Right.
And maybe
Right,
we
True.
should
Good
just
point. Yeah.
assume that every
Tonight.
show is going to be exactly the
Yeah.
same. Because if you followed what he's done in the past, if you've ever seen two shows in a row, he might take one song out and put another song in.
Sure.
And he's done that before
He
in the
has
past.
done
And
that.
he may do it now. So maybe some of the suggestions that fans have sent to him, he might start sneaking in. And this could just be the first leg of the tour too.
hmm
So
Yeah.
we don't
The
know
Rolling
if it's going to
Stones.
continue.
Yeah. The Rolling
Right.
Stones have done a pretty cool thing over their few past tours where they'll put out like 5 songs for people to pick for them to do live, you know. So if you give you 5 songs and whatever song gets the most picks, they'll do that one song live. So I think that's like a pretty cool you know, idea that I would like to see maybe him incorporate into, you know, into his set list.
Yeah, but they should be songs that he's never done live.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Do so, or has rarely done, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And before I make my comments, I see Richard mentions that he, that Paul, when, including In Spite of All the Danger, isn't he appealing to hardcore fans? Then, the first time he did that, yeah, I was very excited, when he did that. Absolutely. But how long has he been doing that now?
Right.
He needs to retire it. I mean, when he did do it the first time, yeah, I was very excited, and I thought, hey, maybe this is going to be, maybe he's getting it, that maybe he realizes he needs to throw us a bone, and I certainly didn't expect, like, as we've been talking, I was thinking about, like, I've seen Bruce Springsteen one time, and I'm a very casual, very, very casual fan of Bruce Springsteen. And the time I saw him, he decided to pull out all his rarities. Now, his hardcore fans loved it, and I was sitting there the whole night thinking, okay, could you just play something I recognize? And when he finally did Hungry Heart, I'm like, okay, all right, now we're back on track. And so I was thinking about that because, yeah, you don't want to go too hard the other way because, there are going to be some people in the audience that only know the big hits, so you don't want to alienate those people too. Because I didn't have a great time at that Bruce concert. Sorry, folks, Bruce fans
but
out there.
The problem with that though, Kit, is people like Bruce and Dylan and Neil Young, they can get away with that because they weren't a Beatle. I mean, and that's to me what it really all comes down to.
That's a good point.
He was a Beatle, and it's the universally loved, and it's a youth to an older person, that whole connection, and I get it, I do.
Well, you could do
And I
50-50.
But that's what I'm saying.
50% Beatles, 50% non-Beatles.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, that I understand that he feels he needs to balance it out. So I'm not suggesting that he just replace everything with obscurities, much as we in a perfect world, in my beach world here, would love it if he would go on a small tour, small venues tour, and do all, B-sides and all. I mean, that'd be fabulous, of course.
But it's not in his personality to do that either. I mean, I don't think he has the nerve to do it, to be honest with you. I think it's like he doesn't want to I don't know, just I'm going to do what I want to do and sod everybody else they don't like it. That
Mhm.
kind of. Paul wouldn't do that.
Well,
In
I
a way,
think
I
there's
wish
more
you
to it.
would. In some ways, kind of like what Ken was saying.
Right.
I think everything in his life is a compromise here because, as you all know, he's a family man. He still loves recording. So he divides his time between that and touring. And if the number of shows that he's doing is not a lot, I mean, he's scaling it back each time, doing less and less, a significant amount, but less. He's not going to play small clubs. He's going to
No,
play
right.
very big venues. And the bigger the venue that you play, you got to play more songs that people know. It would be another thing. He could get away with doing an all solo concert tour if he announces it that way,
Yeah.
so that the public would be prepared for it. And so
In
the
advance.
fans who really
Yeah.
love his solo
Right.
career and really know it well, they know what to expect.
Yeah.
That way you won't get people who primarily want to hear Beatles and then they'll be
Right.
disappointed.
Right. Yeah. Kit, one last thing. 36 songs, 22 of them are Beatles songs, with one being a Quarrymen. So you got 23 Beatles and a Beatle-related track.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would like to see more 50-50, because I think at this stage of his career, he can do that. He doesn't have to lean so heavily on the Beatles. And yeah, I mean, there were certain songs that I thought were kind of odd choices too from the solo years, like looking at Egypt Station. Really, For You.
Yes.
I just thought, really, that's I mean,
Yeah, you good point there. Yeah.
I mean, a few people mentioned, what about Dominoes? I mean,
Yeah.
that, I mean, that would have been great. For McCartney 3, Sliding. I mean, I think that would have sounded incredible.
Yeah, that would really,
live.
that rocks. Yeah,
I mean, that rocks. I think, I'm just, there were certain choices like that I thought were strange. As you guys have mentioned, My Valentine, I understand why he wants to do it. It's for personal reasons, but as you said, Tom, it's often the beer run song, and it's just,
Well, you just feel like he's force feeding it to you.
Exactly.
And even with the Beatles tunes, though, I mean, I was excited once upon a time. I mean, he was changing them up. I don't know if he's done all of them. I don't think he's ever done What You're Doing, for example.
Never.
No.
But I mean, when he put in
when
he put like I'll Get You in there, and when he put in
Right.
The Night Before, Another Girl.
Yes.
Even though they're Beatles songs, I really love that. That's fine. Throw it in an obscure Beatles song too, and I'm there.
Exactly. Pull out a lesser known one, and also, maybe I'm amazed. I'd be okay not hearing that.
I was surprised. That was a big surprise.
That was a
shocker.
shocker.
Put that back in.
Yep, because it just he doesn't have that range now, and that's fine. I mean, everybody has that. When you get older, your voice changes. So why not go with something else that, and I get it. He wants to pay tribute to Linda, and I know everybody loves that song too, but he also wants to pay tribute to Linda. He could pick something else, that could also honor Linda. I just think he needs to, try. I mean, this would have been an opportunity for him to shake up the list a bit, try some different things. And I was just really surprised, when I saw it, maybe semi-surprised. let's face it. Semi-surprised.
One more thing. I love the fact that in concert, he always does a tribute to John and he always does a tribute to George, but it's always the same two songs.
Right.
There's a wealth of material there. I would love for Paul to just do a John song from the Beatle years that Paul never sang lead to as a tribute, like when he did the medley of Help and Strawberry Fields Forever. That was fantastic, but he's been doing Here Today for a long time now. And I realize how important that song is to him. It's a very emotional song for him. I wish he'd do something else. Same thing with Something for George. Do another George song.
Exactly.
I thought he did a great job with All Things Must Pass on the concert for George.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so emotional. That was beautiful. And For You Blue, that was really, really, really great to see that. And I'll also say I'm presuming he tells the same stories too. a lot of times when he talks and up between a lot of the songs. So
Yes. Yeah.
that gets to be
he
the
can change.
samey.
I agree. Yeah, he needs to change that up. But I just want to say one more thing here that people were saying well, you're not really fans if you're critiquing and
all
everything.
kinds
Well,
of things,
I'm seeing it from the comments. I'm seeing where people are making some really great suggestions here from what we're saying and from these comments. I mean, to me, we are showing that we're true fans because look at all the suggestions we're making and all. I mean, we all know our stuff here. And we're all saying, these are what we'd love to hear, and this is what we think he'd sound great doing and everything. So, we are fans, and I think we're demonstrating what fans we are. And this isn't a case of, oh, you're not a fan if you just say everything is perfect, and I mean, you're all showing it tonight. What you're saying.
I'm not going to suggest that he goes back to like the university tour days where if you're only going to know Long Tall Sally, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you haven't heard Wildlife yet, you're not going to know any song that he does. I'm not suggesting he does that. I mean, that would be awesome, but
exactly.
I mean,
exactly. Yeah. I mean, nobody's suggesting, that anything crazy.
Right.
Show on things we said today, our dream set list.
Yeah.
And I put together one which was all songs that he's never done live before. And I knew fully well that's all a pipe dream. It's never going to happen.
Right.
But, nothing wrong with doing a few songs that you've never done live before. That's what keeps it interesting. And it's often said it's the people that you're most critical of that shows that you care.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not being a hater. It's not being a troll when you do those things.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So, yep. But we just felt we had to talk about it because, boy, it's been talked about all.
all over
talked about
social media.
But second show is tonight, actually. So we're gonna have another reaction tomorrow. We're gonna go live tomorrow on the Two Legs page and get a fan reaction for the second show. So looking forward to that.
Fantastic! All right, well, everybody, tomorrow, stay tuned. Head over to the Two Legs channel, and we'll check it out and see what the verdict is for the next show. So that's great. All right. Well, let's head forward and go to our main topic. So I know a lot of you out there, some of you have already posted some on our Facebook page and on our YouTube page, some of your choices. So I know you guys are raring to go on this. So these are your choices and our choices for 10 John Lennon songs that you can't live without. Now, these are solo songs. We probably should do a Beatles one in the future, like John's, the ones that he wrote for the Beatles. But tonight it is solo. So these are the ones like your essential favorite songs. We have not revealed what we have picked to each other, so we are revealing them for the first time. And as always, we invite you to share your picks in the comments. So we're going to go around. We'll share like 5 at a time, and it'll be interesting to see if we have any in common. We just might. So let's start with you, Ken. What are 5 of your selections?
Okay, first of all, I must say to start that this was really difficult, even though it's and even though it's a small catalog, it's such a solid catalog from John. There's so many songs that I love. I had to pick my favorite solo Lennon song, which is Woman. I think it's one of the greatest love songs of all time. I love the lyrics in it, the apologetic John, as we've talked about here before on the show. The great melody in there, the harmonies, the background harmonies, everything about it. So Woman had to be in there. Another single, which is absolutely essential, is Instant Karma. I don't know how I could possibly go without having that song. It's such a great rock song. And you could say, just to be superfluous, John's vocals are great on all these songs, really. It's such a great hook. in Instant Karma, a great chorus. Everything about the recording, nice and raw. Love Alan White's drumming on it. Everything about it, really. Mind Games has to be in there. One of the best of John's singles, definitely. Great song, great production behind it, kind of Phil Spector-ish. Everything about it, I love the arrangement of that song. I also had to put, as the years go on, I especially love Scared from Walls and Bridges. Again, tremendous vocals from John. Especially when he's going in the high notes, you do it so well. Those vocals are absolutely amazing. Love the werewolf sound at the very beginning of the song.
Yes.
It's produced so well, really. And I even love, the more bare bones version of that. That was on Men Love Avenue, for example. Sometimes when it's just John and piano and not much else, it's just so powerful that way. Speaking of powerful, I had to put God in there. I mean, it's such an incredible song. The statement that he's making there to put down the idols and the icons of our time and to say, I just believe in me, Yoko and me, and that's reality. And to say, I don't believe in Beatles, the guts of the man to be able to say that, how brave that was of him. Everything about the Plastic Ono Band, which has been said so many times over, the simplicity, the rawness of it. Ringo's drumming is outstanding in the song God, and the piano playing is just right, has kind of a gospel feel to it. So those are five of my 10 right there. These are not in any order, although Woman has to be at number one.
Yeah, it's just amazing, no matter how many times you hear God, it's just still shocking, when he gets to that part. Really, I don't believe in Beatles, and the music drops out. I mean, even all these years later, there's still a part of you that goes, I mean, it's just amazing, and it just still hits so hard, and it's so honest. It's just amazing. All these years later, it still stuns.
What a brilliant move that was to stop the song right after Beatles.
Right.
Mention the other people that he admired so much, like Elvis Presley or Dylan, and then Beatles, and then it stops. Wow.
Yeah.
Really.
Quite a punch.
Yeah, it is. It's a gut punch.
Yeah.
Really is. All right. Okay, Joe, what are your picks?
Well, I don't have them in any order either, and I do not have God on my list, even though I love the song. I was kind of looking at it kind of as if I was on this desert island, it's hard. Would I want to hear God as one of the 10 songs only? I don't know about that, so I didn't put it on there. But again, the first one I have is Instant Karma, the single. I mean, it's fantastic. It's a powerhouse, great production, bass, Klaus Vormann, drums, Alan White. I like how the whole history. Always, whenever I hear the song, I'm thinking how quickly it was recorded, written, recorded. To see, like, let's just get it in a day. Let's do the whole thing in a day. And that kind of shows in it. I just love the sound of it too. It's a little gritty sounding, just enough of the distortion, but not too much. So yeah, I think that's one of his best songs, and also a great single. So that's the first one. Then I have, and I for some reason, keep a straight face, kid, a poker face, because I think you're going to have this one on your list. We'll find out if you have this. Crippled Inside, I put on mine. John doing a little country, twangy sound. Nicky Hopkins, the piano. You got George Harrison on the dobro. What I like about it is the message of the song too. It's so true. There's people out there that think they can just try to look like everything's all right all the time or whatever. But if something's really bugging you and you got some heavy laundry, maybe it'll show in your eyes. You can't really hide when you're crippled inside. I like that. It's a little country-esque Lennon. As close as you can get, maybe. So Then I went with the Mind Games song, Mind Games single. That could be. It's hard to think of a favorite solo John song for me, but that's right up there. I enjoy it better than Imagine these days, maybe because Imagine is kind of played out, a little fatigue in there.
Mhm.
You don't hear Mind Games, I don't maybe at all, or nearly as much on radio stations. And I don't know. It's just something that is fresh to me. At this point,
Plus, it'd
I
be a
love.
little weird saying all. Imagine all the people when you're the only person on an island too.
Yeah. Well, I guess you have to imagine it. I don't
Right.
know. Imagine,
There you go.
imagine there's other people. Imagine
Right.
there's people.
He
Period.
Well
got you
done,
that
Joe.
one.
Yeah, well done, Joe.
And I was doing an interview with Rachel, the music ma'am, the other day, and she brought up a point of something I'd always thought and I always liked. I love that cryptic ending as the song trails off. I want you to make love, not war. I know you
Hmm.
heard it before. Kind of a little tongue in cheek there at the end. I love that fade out on there, which of course that was the idea, the genesis of the song to begin with that John had when he was
Yep.
singing "Make Love, Not War." I know you heard it before. That was mainly what he had at first, right?
Mhm.
But there's something about the sound of it. I don't even know. Since I was a little kid and heard it on the radio and had the 45, I don't know. It just sounds a little out of spacey, a little UFO-ish. Maybe it's because of the production on it. I just love the feel, the vibe I get out of Mind Games. So that's my third one. Fourth one, I went with the song "New York City." It's a rare, I guess you could say, rocker. It just pulls all the stops out for John. And you got, as I always say, two solos, the way my ears hear them. You hear a guitar solo, and then later on we do a piano solo. We go Adam Ippolito from the Elephant's Memory, going crazy on the keyboard. I think that's great. And it's a storytelling song too. About everything they were encountering, being in New York. And although I don't usually like the approach of trying to cram too much into it, I like the way he's kind of trying to sing all those lyrics. I won't sing them, but the lyrics are there on the cover of the album to read. Trying to sing about the Plastic Ono Elephant's Memory Band,
Right.
and trying to get all this stuff in. It's just a good time, rollicking good time. So New York City, and finally at the top of the five that I have first, Steel and Glass, which I
Mm.
always
Wow.
mention. That is again a tip top Lennon song for me. It's a put down song. He did "How Do You Sleep" where he was attacking Paul McCartney. But that's more personal for us, being that it's Paul. I would say, but "Steel and Glass," some people think it's Alan Klein, maybe, or it could be just anybody he's attacking in it. And then later on, I think he copped out a little bit on the old gray whistle test when he said, "Well, I'm really attacking myself, really. It's me, because he was kind of trying to, be fair and appease people." But I liked it. It's a moody song, kind of moody, unpleasant. It's like a put down song in the vein of, say, Bob Dylan, Positively Fourth Street, that
Mm.
kind of thing. And I like that. The horns, hear it for the horns. I
Yes.
love that. It's as he called it. The song is like "Son of How Do You Sleep." It's like he's doing
Mm.
it again,
Yeah.
kind of
It is.
rewriting it. Really,
Mm.
he's rewriting it kind of. It's like "How Do You Sleep Light,"
Yeah.
something like that. But I love it. I love that song. It's my favorite song off Walls and Bridges, probably.
Mm.
So yeah, there was my five to start with.
Mm.
Yep. And I like your point about New York City, that frenetic kind of tone, because I cramming in all the words, because to me
Yeah.
it always, like, it just perfectly encapsulates that period of John and Yoko's life, and kind of the rhythm of New York. I mean, it's just, you can picture just the
Mm.
kind of insanity that was going on at that time, all the people they were meeting, and the political scene, and I mean, I think that just perfectly captures that time in their lives. I mean,
And I think I also like that it was, he's singing about New York, where, I was from New York, and I've been in the city many times, in the Greenwich Village, and I love when he just throws in "down in the village," he says at one point. I love that. Like, I love that. He's Lennon, a New Yorker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Singing and yeah, and thanks for bringing it up to make me think of it, and just really paying tribute to the city that he loves.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he nailed it. Absolutely.
Cool.
Okay, Tom. How about
All
you?
right. Well, again, in no particular order. I do not want to live in a world where I cannot hear George's opening guitar riff on "Oh My Love." For me, this is just one of the all-time beautiful ballads from anybody, in recording history. This is just a magnificent song. We've talked about the song before, and I think John sings ballads just as well as he sings those gritty rock and roll songs like New York City, and sometimes he doesn't get the recognition for that as he should, because we want to see him as John the rebellious rock and roller, and but yeah, "Oh My Love" is there. I think of Mind Games, and you think of that song Mind Games, and you just think of that song Mind. And there's two other songs on Mind Games that use that word mind in some lyrics there that I really, really like. And if we would have done this song 5 years ago, 10 years ago, this song would not have been on the list. This is how much I've really come to love this song, and it's "I Know, I Know." And I just really love but I could never speak my mind, but I could never read your mind, and as we share each other's minds. I really just like that combination, where it's me, it's you, and then it's us. I just really, dig that aspect of that song. And plus, Dave Spinoza's work on that is wonderful, and Lennon's a knockout on that. And then, of course, I've talked about "Out the Blue" hundreds of times on the show. And again, I love the, two minds, one destiny, part of that song. And I love it, the story of it. It's almost, again, like a continuation, of the Ballad of John and Yoko in a way. I mean, just telling that story of them, which, again, it's just a part of his songs that I really like, when he really just, talks about him and Yoko. So that's 3. Number 9, "Dream." That's like a song where it's like a take you away song for me. You're like, you can grab your music, your headphones, go lie down in a field somewhere, you put that song on, and it just takes you away to another place and time. I mean, that's at least what it does for me. I just love the dreamlike aspect of it, and lyrically, and Jesse Davies just does a masterful guitar work on that. So that's 4. And then the other one for this round is "Watching the Wheels," which is a song that's really, I've always enjoyed it, but I'm enjoying it more and more and more, and for one reason, and it's for the line, "I just had to let it go," because we could all learn from that statement. I can hold grudges, and I can hold grudges with the best of them. And there's times where I need to be reminded of stuff like that. That's the kind of lessons we can learn, from John, speaking the truth, not only about other people, but about yourself as well. And that's just what I get, from that song, just, letting go of the past, and especially with that line. So that's, the aspect of that song that I really have come to love. So that's my top 5.
Well,
I'm gonna change mine. That shows you when it's a good explanation. When people do that, you say, "Hey, yeah, that's true." I mean, I love all the songs you had Tom, and
Right.
You had, Ken, that I didn't have so far. But you can only have 10, right? So
right,
yeah.
Mhm. I know,
But
it's
like you
tough.
said, we could do this a year from now and have a different list.
right. It'd be
Yep.
completely different. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and it is true that different songs, you may not have really, fully understood when you first heard them. And then, 20
one day it hits you.
You're just like, oh, I get it now. I mean, it's really true. It's really true. Great picks. All right, my first 5. So from Plastic Ono Band, Isolation. I've always loved this song. It's beautiful. John just like so many songs for Plastic Ono Band, he's just bearing his soul. And and who hasn't felt that way at times, feeling isolated, like you're not understood, and me against the world kind of, and the piano on this is beautiful. I believe Julian Lennon many years ago said this was one of his favorites of John's. I think he said it in a radio interview. And it's I can't argue with him. It's just absolutely stunning. The rest of my 5 are from Imagine, because this album just means a great deal to me. It's probably the first album where I really got into John's music. So Crippled Inside. You were correct, Joe.
I know you like that one. Yeah.
I love Crippled Inside. As you said, it's got that country twang, but the lyrics just, I think, just cut through. It's so true. I mean, you just, one thing you can, you can have as much money as you want. You can hide, you can hide through wearing fancy clothes or whatever, but one thing you can't hide is when you're crippled inside. You can't hide your true self. Whether it's your pain or whatever it is. I just it's just one of those songs that just the lyrics just cut through. Great, and even though it delivers this serious message, but yet the song is kind of jaunty. It's it has this almost cheerful but it's quite serious. So it's got that really interesting juxtaposition. My opinion, one of the best diss songs of all time, How Do You Sleep? Yes, I get it. I know it's about Paul, but come on, the lyrics are just so clever, and it's one of John's best vocal performances. That when he sings that, oh, how do you sleep? It's just that snarl he gets in his voice. Wow. Got some great guitar work from George. The strings on it. It is just perfectly arranged and produced. If you're going to do a diss track, do it right. And this is
well said, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think probably maybe years later, even Paul had to say, that's a good song. It may be about me, but that's a good song.
Now, wouldn't that be funny if he did that for the tribute to John and the shows?
Wouldn't that? Oh man, how funny would that be? Nobody. That would be so cool.
Well, I'm going to get my ticket right now if he does that. Like front row.
Major headline around the world.
Right. Yes.
I remember John said somewhere, well, one of the things that I didn't like is there's so much talk about Paul being in a song that they missed it. It was a good track.
It was a good track.
Yeah.
It is.
Stuff. And then Yoko actually says, so it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's a good song. Yeah.
I think it's one of his best. I hate to say it, but it really is. Give Me Some Truth. That is just, I think, another one of his finest vocal performances. Great lyrics. Just a virtuoso performance, some tongue twisters in there, just passionate, angry, and sadly it's relevant no matter what decade, even today. It's just, it's scary. He may refer to Nixon in it, but you can apply it to virtually any time. And again, it's just a great performance, and one that's a little out of left field, but I've always loved "I Don't Want to Be a Soldier." From day one, I've always loved it. I think I like the jazz aspect of it. It's kind of has that little jazz freeform kind of jam to it. I think that might be what I respond to.
I really enjoyed the song nowadays, Kit. I really do, but it took me a while. But I really like it now.
Yeah, I think it is because it's, it might be hard to get next to because it's got that loose quality to it. It's, but I think that's what I like about it. And the lyrics are just kind of poetry, like he's just almost sounding like he's, singing off the top of his head. It's just very different from him. And I've always liked it, because it's just something different from what he's done before.
Yeah.
So just a little one out left field there, but I've always liked it.
Nice.
I was going to say, for most of my life, I Don't Want to Be a Soldier was one of the few songs. That and Angela, I didn't really care for, and now I love both those songs.
Yeah.
But I love I Don't Want to Be a Soldier for the very reason you said, because it's so free form and it's so different from everything else that John had released. And it's kind of interesting if you listen to all the different versions that existed.
Right.
He went through a lot of different arrangements of it.
Right.
So at some point he had to settle on this.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's why I've come to appreciate it more myself, Ken, because like you said, I mean, when you get that Imagine box set, and you listen to all the different versions that are on that set, you appreciate, all the effort that was put into that song to get it to where he was finally happy with it,
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Hey, Paulina, I wonder if Paulina's watching. I wonder if John would have, if he was alive today, if he would have rewritten the song today. Could be. Could be. You never know.
And there are other fans of Soldier out there. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
People like I don't want to be Mark. Yeah, there you go.
So thank you. All right. Okay, so let's go to our last five. Tom, we'll reverse the order here. So Tom, what are your last five?
Well, we'll start with a song that you could, I don't know, maybe put in any time in history, and I just like the chorus. I love Nobody Told Me. Strange Days Indeed. I mean, this is a song that I use that line a lot. Nobody told me there would be days like these, and man, have I had a lot of those days. Over the last 30 plus years of my working life. It's just a fun song. I love the back and forth. I feel like if I had this song on a deserted island and I was the only one there, I would feel like I would be myself and my mind talking to each other, because stuff like everybody's talking and no one says a word. So I like the back and forth of the verses on that one. So I've always enjoyed that. On a more serious note, Isolation, beautiful song. We've talked about the track before, and just a very powerful song. I don't expect you to understand after you cause me so much pain. A lot of that stuff going on in that track, very personal. And for some reason, I really got into that song at a young age. I mean, wouldn't really think that at like 15, 16 years old, I would really, like that song. It's so early, but man, I've loved it for a long time. Look at Me. Again, another one. Who am I supposed to? I love the questions he's asking, himself or his partner or society. Any ways you can look at that song. Really love Look at Me. Great musically. I love the playing on that. And his vocals again. He sings that beautifully. Yeah. Ken, you had this one, God. I think you have to have it no matter. I mean, I know, Joe, I think you said you weren't going to add this to your list, but I think it's important enough to have this on a top 10 John list. I kind of sometimes feel like it's, yeah. Well, that's
a lot of different
fine.
criteria.
Yeah. Right, exactly. But I kind of feel like at times I feel like this is his solo a day in the life in a way, because kind of opens with the piano. I mean, I love the build up of his vocals of I don't believe, kind of like
Yeah.
the build up in a day in the life. And I just love the the then the I just believe in me, Yoko and me. I mean, again, it's a very powerful, moving song that's played beautifully. I think you touched on Ringo, Ken, when you talked about that, especially in the fills when he's singing "I
Sure.
Don't Believe" in Zinnemann, and just the fills he gets in with such a short amount of time is simply amazing. You got to give mad
Mhm.
respect to Ringo for that song alone, really. Um, and then I put this one first because I think this might have been the first solo John Lennon song I fell in love with, and that's the song "How." And it's
Yeah.
I think it was mainly because of the Imagine John Lennon movie and the soundtrack. But I love his singing. I love the orchestration through that, and very moving and very beautiful. And again, it's just one of those songs that I would just listen to, with the headphones on, while I was alone, and just, thinking about it. What does this mean to me? Why am I digging the song at 14, 15 years old? What is it saying to me, right now, you know, and how I felt about it, over times, and how it changes your perspective of it changes as you get older,
Mm.
and you re-look at those lyrics now, and again, the perspective changes over the years. And yeah, it's for some reason this was like that song was the first solo Lennon song I fell in love with. Yeah.
Tom, I discovered a lot of those songs around the age of 15 myself, and
Right.
he spoke to me. Being in
Mm,
high school, and with
right.
your friends, and maybe feeling isolated at times, or
Mhm. Mhm.
wondering, how can you go forward when you don't know which way you're facing, and
Right.
all that kind
Right.
of stuff. I
Yeah.
identified with that even as a younger person.
Mhm.
But I know
Yeah.
what you mean. Certain songs, yeah, definitely. As you grow older, some songs take more
They
uh,
take on a new
of
meaning
a
Yeah,
sometimes.
resonance.
Yeah. Yeah.
they really do. And then, yeah, there are others that you look back and you're like, how did I latch onto this at such a young
Right.
age? Like, yeah, I know what you
Yeah,
mean. Like Crippled Inside. Is I
Right.
mean, that was one
Yeah.
song that I really liked from a young age. I'm like, how did I
yeah,
like why did I resonate? How did I resonate with that? I mean, it
Right.
was real. Yeah, it's a mystery. So,
Mhm.
absolutely, all good picks, Tom. I
Thank
can't
you.
argue with you. But yeah, keep thinking, man. I think I have to come up with another 10. All right,
yeah.
so all right, Joe. How about you? What are your next
I,
five?
I mean, a lot of those songs. Before I do that, I mean, in my runners up, I have stuff like
I
"How" and "Know My Love."
Yeah.
Look at me. You're speaking for me, Tom, and a lot of
Yeah.
these. But the five that I put down at this moment, anyway, right now, anyway. Next, I put in there "Woman," which
Mm.
I know Ken mentioned "Woman," and that's a song too that I don't think. At the time when Double Fantasy came out, I was just 18. I mean, I just don't think. I think a lot of Double Fantasy spoke to me as an older person
Yeah.
as I got older,
Mhm.
much more than when I was I think younger. And John always said that, yeah, he's pretty much speaking to people in his age group,
Yeah.
people like
Right.
around 40 or so, like himself. But he hopes the kids would dig it as well. But he's really
Mm.
speaking to his age group. And anyway, "Woman," beautiful love song to Yoko. But what I love about it is that it's also a tribute to women in general, all women.
Mm.
It's the woman. For all women, and which he said, and it comes across in there with that opening quote that he does for the other half of the sky and all that kind of thing that he got that quote, and shows again the feminist side of John. I think it's a kind of a growth. A lot of
Mhm.
people they like to say, "Oh, John, he was getting to be I don't know what you call like henpecked or whatever, or controlled or whatever." But I think it's a growth thing. He started to not be that loudmouth punk that didn't respect women when he was a kid. He grew up some, and that's an example of it again. So I like that about the song. But it's just a beautiful ballad anyway. It's got great lyrics, a great way to profess your love, and just an all out feel good Beatle-like ballad in a way. I used to call it the Beatle track when he was doing it.
Right.
So, yeah, let me flip my page here, if I may. All right. I also have. It's funny. We're all taking songs that are different in a way. Like
Yeah.
picked a lot of Plastic Ono Band songs were mentioned, and I picked "Hold On," which I've always liked. You know, it's a short song. It just comes and goes. Really, it's pretty quick. But I've always loved the soothing feeling about it. It's optimistic. You know,
Mhm.
John's not optimistic that often on that album, but he does. He has a good outlook on that. You know, hold on, it's going to be all right. You know, that kind of thing. And sometimes you have to tell yourself that when you're in your doldrums, that you know, it's a feel good thing. Makes you feel like there's hope. And I just love the whole feel of that song. And then next, I have a song I've mentioned a few times from the Mind Games album, and I want to pronounce it right. I Sumasen, I
Mhm.
Sumasen, uh, which means I'm sorry in Japanese. I love that track. What can I say? When I listen to it, it's painful, but you can feel the guilt that John's experiencing, and he's apologizing again, having hurt Yoko.
Steady theme.
Again. Apologizing
Yeah,
again.
I think
Hey,
it's deja vu. Every time I say that, I
Right.
think you said that in the past. Yeah,
if
Right.
it
he
produces great
apologizes
music,
again.
who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. He can apologize all he
Yeah,
wants.
if
Yeah.
only Paul could be that honest, I would love it.
Right.
But
Yeah.
anyway, and a stinging guitar from I hope I think David Spinoza plays the lead solo in there. There's another guitarist I think in there. I forget the
The lead
name,
guitar
but
is David Spinoza.
because I love you know that whole the guitar bit that takes up much of the end. Oh,
Mhm.
it just really moves me. It's just a real intense song, and I really love that song.
Hmm.
Then for some fun, I went for another Mind Games track, Tight As.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's just a
Love
kind
that.
of a rocking reggae nonsense song, little sexual innuendo, drug innuendo in there, and you know, just a goof again. You know, David Spinoza doing guitar work on there, and there's an outtake of it that I've heard where there's more Spinoza in there that wasn't
Hmm.
used. It was taken out of the final mix. But Tight As always a good rollicking track. And last, I have "Give Me Some Truth,"
Hmm.
which of course Kit you've already explained so well about that. Angry Lennon, you know, he's fed up, screaming at the top of his lungs. Great vocal performance from John. Fed up with the political garbage of phony politicians, and I think you know politics in general, regardless of choosing sides, it could be such a stupid game, and you know back and forth, two different, always opposing each other. It's just a lot of garbage, and I really love hearing that song.
Yeah.
And he just really nails it, I think, in there.
I, s-
So
I still get like this weird feeling when I do watch that segment of the Get Back, and you see the caption of
yeah,
the song that John and Paul had been working on, and
yeah,
it's Give Me Some Truth.
yeah,
It,
yeah.
it, it it's just
Maybe it's Paul.
mind-boggling
Maybe
to
maybe
know.
Paul
Yeah,
wrote it.
yeah,
Oh,
maybe
half of
Paul.
Yeah. Yeah. What could have been.
Hey, Paul. I think Paul wrote something. Don't let me down.
Yeah.
Thinking,
Well,
Mhm.
I don't know.
Well, John did admit that Paul helped him write "Give Me Some Truth," and
right.
Paul didn't remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, that's what Peter Jackson said to us.
God,
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
crazy.
I don't
Cool.
remember that part.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right, Ken. Now I think I can guess one of yours, but I'll see if I'm right. So
Well, listening to your choices makes me think that I could redo this in a heartbeat.
I know, me
Yeah.
too.
Right.
You know, just mentioned
Absolutely.
Tight As, and it reminded me how much, as a rocker, I love Meat City, and that's
Yeah.
not
Hmm.
on
Yeah.
the list. I
Yeah.
could easily
Yeah.
put Meat City in, but
Yeah.
I had to put Out the Blue in there. Was that the one that you
Yes,
were
I
looking
was
at?
right.
Okay. It's a funny thing when we think of John. So many of us think of him for his lyrics, but sometimes you can love a song just for a melody and the whole
Hmm.
arrangement, and John's vocals alone could sell me just on that. And like I think you were talking about Crippled Inside, Tom, and how you got the song so early on. I love the song just for how catchy it was. Later on, you listen to the lyrics and it's like, yeah, I understand what you're saying here. So there's so many aspects of a song where you can love it for different reasons, and then you can find something else to love about it.
Right.
And so in the case of Out the Blue, I always loved it first for the melody and for John's vocals. And then you read the lyrics. Out the blue, you came to me and blew away life's misery. Wow. Just that alone. It was like everything else before you didn't matter that much. Here you are. This is what mattered.
Right.
You know, some of the lyrics in there are just so fantastic. All my life has been a long, slow knife. I was born just to get to you.
Yeah.
You know, anyway, I survived long enough to make you my wife, and two minds, one destiny. I love that line in Out the Blue, and I'm glad that it's a song that's gotten more recognition through the years. Really is a great love song. Should never be overlooked in John's catalog. The other one is I Know from my talked about here a lot. I've always loved the song. It reminds me, it is very Beatley, much the same way that Woman is melodically, and the harmonies and everything. And for all the reasons Tom was talking about with I Know. I love that song. Always have. Girl Old With Me has to be in there. I mean, you talk about simple lyrics that say a lot. Grow Old Along With Me, the best is yet to be. Inspired, of course, by the Brownings, the married couple there. And I used it as one of my wedding songs. You know, face the setting sun when the day is done. God bless our love. God bless our love. Simple words that pack a lot of punch. And, you know, they did say that it is like a wedding song and would love for it to be a wedding song. And I hope more people do get to use it for that. It's just a beautiful song, great melody, love John's vocals. I know I say it all the time, but that's a major selling point in John's recordings. One of the greatest singers ever, one of the greatest rock voices ever. You know, mentioning Nobody Told Me, I love that song to death, but for several years now, I've really been digging I Don't Want to Face It. What a great that is. And
I got some
I
votes
love
in the
all
comments.
the in there, and the lyrics, kind of like Nobody Told Me, has so many great lyrics in it, but save humanity, but it's people that you just can't stand. From John, and great bass playing in that song. It's so edgy. I just love it. And it could have gone on a few minutes longer, and it's kind of short, but that makes you want to hear it more and more and more. I love I Don't Want to Face It. And I also thought Nobody Loves You When You're Down and Out is a tremendous song. It's a great album closer, although Ya was after that, but that doesn't really count to me. But incredible melody there. Again, John's vocals. He envisioned Frank Sinatra singing that kind of song. I could see John singing it, walking away in the distance somewhere, like on the beach or something. Very depressing song. Nobody loves you when you're down and out. Nobody sees you when you're on cloud nine. Everybody's hustling for a buck and a dime. I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine, or what was it? I'll knife.
Everybody loves you. 6 foot, you're 6 foot in the ground.
Yeah,
that would make I'm curious to know if any country artist has done that song, because that screams a country song to me. You know,
Frank
a way.
Sinatra.
No, like a Waylon Jennings or a Chris Christopherson or even Johnny Cash, I can see singing that song. Yeah,
that could work. Also as a blues version.
Yeah,
True.
Right. Yep.
Definitely. It's really powerful. Love the whole arrangement of it with the horns too.
Yeah. Yep.
Good picks. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. That almost made my list too. Yeah. We're gonna have to come up with another 10.
For years, I've been pointing out how much I love How more than I ever have before.
Yeah.
Again, there's a really unique gift to be able to give very simple lines that say so much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, how can I go forward when I don't know which way I'm facing? How can I give love when I don't know what it is I'm giving?
Yeah, that's really one of his best lyrically. That's one of his best.
Yeah. Okay. Well, as for me, I've got a couple of walls and bridges here. We've been visiting walls and bridges quite a bit tonight. So I've got What You Got, which I've always liked. First of all, it's a great rocker. I mean, there's just some nasty guitar in this, but also, you know, I mean, you really have to, you know, listen, because on the surface, it's a great rocker, and, you know, but when you, of course, it's yet another one of John's songs where you listen and, you know, beneath the surface, of course, you know, he's in a great deal of pain. I mean, you know, because when he sings, "Oh, it's Saturday night, and I just got to live it up and rip it up," and, you know, but then, of course, he's really miserable, you know, that he's, you know, he wants to, you know, clearly come home, you know, that the partying is great for a while, but it's, you know, but it's pretty empty. And so, you know, you don't know what you got until you lose it. So I just think it's such a, you know, it's a deceptively simple song, and
he shreds vocally, he shreds on that too.
Yeah, he does.
Go, baby, 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 give me one more chance.
Yeah, exactly.
Shreds it.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Because I mean, you know, on the one hand, you can be like, "Oh man, this is just a great rocker, and that nasty guitar, and, you know, wow, the guy shreds it." But then, then when you listen to the lyrics, you know, it's a lot deeper than that. So I've always liked that track. I've talked about this track many times. "Bless You." I've just always loved that. You know, such a beautiful ballad, and you know, really shows another side of John in terms of his vocals, and also, you know, I just thought, wow, how big of him to, you know, not only say in terms of Yoko, you know, "Bless you wherever you are," and but to even say, you know, and if you're with someone else, you know, bless him, you know,
and treat her. What is it? Be kind-hearted.
Yeah,
be warm and kind-hearted, I think.
I mean, wow. I mean, that's
holding her now.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, not angry. You know, it's just, I mean, amazingly mature, and you know, and it's just a beautiful song. Love the chord changes. Just some really nice, sort of jazzy chord changes in there. I've always loved that. Moving on to Double Fantasy, "Watching the Wheels." You know, and this is one of those songs, kind of like you were saying, Tom, that's grown in meaning for me. I mean, I loved it from the moment I, you know, really heard it, because of I love the piano. I mean, that piano is just, I mean, just powers the song. It's just wonderful. But yeah, as you grow older, you know, you're just kind of like, "Oh, I get it. No, I get it now." You know, that the lines, you know, saying, "People think I'm crazy, dreaming my life away," and, you know, you know, "No longer riding on the merry-go-round," you know, saying I'm going to, you know, step away, and you know, and that line, as you said, "I just have to let it go," and that can mean so many things, you know, as you said, letting go of past hurt, letting go of anger, letting go of your, in his case, you know, of his previous wild life, and moving on to parenthood, and you know, there are just so many ways you can interpret it, and you know, so absolutely, I think that has some of the, you know, some wonderful lines in there. Also from Double Fantasy, "I'm Losing You."
Oh wow.
Yeah, I love "I'm Losing You." Great vocals from him. And, you know, you really hear, you know, in this case, you know, instead of, we've talked about John apologizing, John saying, "I want you back," you know, in this case, he's saying, you know, "Do I still have to carry that cross? You know, what do I have to do?" You know, it's a different side of him. You know, kind of saying, you know, "Stop the bleeding now." You know, I mean, I just thought the lines in this are just great, and I love the Cheap Trick version too. By the way, I love that. I mean, that's so just such a hard rock kind of sound. So I don't know which I like better. I mean, because I've always loved that Cheap Trick, you know, harder sound. It's hard to call. And finally, "Nobody Told Me." like you, Tom, I have quoted this song so many times. I
Right.
mean, I was thinking about it the other day. I mean, it's just so, kind of delightfully absurd. And I can see why. I mean, didn't John originally intend this for Ringo? I think he did, didn't he?
He says that one of the sessions,
Yeah.
maybe Ringo.
Yeah,
Probably,
maybe
maybe
Ringo.
for
And I
Ringo,
could
something
kind
like
of
that.
see that, although
Right.
I can't picture Ringo actually doing it, but I can see, because of the kind of absurd, as I said, these delightfully absurd kind of lyrics. But yeah, I mean, and the way John sings that "Strange Days Indeed," I
Right.
mean, it's just wonderful. I've even when I heard it as a
Fun.
kid, in 1984, I just loved it. From day one, I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, it sounded so so different, so out there.
Mhm.
Because it wasn't completed. Those songs weren't finished songs, but
Exactly.
it sounded a little like it was, not finished. But yeah, it just was weird. It was a kind of goofy song to me. I mean, in a
Mhm.
positive way. I enjoyed it, but it was a
Yep.
goof in a way.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. And just just sort of philosophical in a whimsical way. And I've just always loved it. And yeah, so quotable. It really
This
is.
whole
So,
idea of
Yeah.
whether it was for Ringo, maybe initially it was, but then why
Mhm.
would John go through the trouble of rehearsing it with the full band in the
Mhm.
studio?
Right.
True.
Since
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
intending on putting it out himself. But
Yeah,
it's
that's
funny, when
true.
Milk and Honey first came out, there was a part of me that felt disappointed because the songs felt unfinished. And
Yeah.
certainly with Forgive Me, that song sounds like they could have worked on it more and developed the song more.
Mhm.
But the three songs, the first three Lennon songs, I'm so used to them now the way it is
Yeah.
that they do sound kind of finished.
Yeah. Exactly. And
Nobody
I like
told me.
Borrowed Time too.
Yeah, I was
That
going to
was
mention that now. Yeah,
Yeah.
Borrowed Time
That was a
is a
good
good
one
one.
too, which is kind of, it's
Well,
sad too to
yeah.
listen to, but it's a great song.
We did good. Nobody picked a song more than twice. So we did
Wow.
And
good. I mean, there wasn't.
nobody picked Imagine. Did you know
And
that?
I was gonna
someone
say
else
that.
mentioned that in the
Yeah.
comments. Yeah, none of us
Right.
picked Imagine. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I
I
mean,
loved Imagine when I first heard it. I loved
Yep.
it. I'm just a little really fatigued on it.
Well,
Hmm.
that's the thing. Like for me, it was, songs that, some of them had fatigue factor for me, and I'm in no way putting down Imagine, but yeah, I just it has fatigue factor for me.
Just fatigue for me.
Yeah, exactly. But
That's the tough thing. There are certain songs, like if I had to do a top 10 of McCartney, and I
Mhm.
love Maybe I'm Amazed, but yet I could be tired of it,
Yeah.
put it in there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It
Yeah.
depends
And
on the
that's
criteria. If
the
it's what's his best songs, you put it on. What songs
Right.
right now are you like really like now the best? Feel the best? Maybe you
Different
wouldn't
list.
be as inclined.
Right.
Right.
Yep. Yep. Ask us next week, and we could give different answers.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
but yeah, these are the ones that his. But actually, some of these I think, we've kind of known for a long time that
Yes.
these are favorites. I mean, some of them we
Yeah.
cited,
Yeah, we
like we
mentioned.
love
Right.
since childhood,
And
teenage
Right.
years, all that.
plus don't forget with John, we were robbed.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
We don't have
Yeah.
as much as we should, really.
Yep.
to choose from.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, wish we could have heard, much more. But at least we have it maybe not as big a catalog as we would have liked, but a stunning one that
Mhm.
we do have. So,
It gives us more of a chance to cherish it,
Yep. Indeed. Absolutely.
which we
Right.
all do. So
Yeah, we sure do.
Yep.
So, really have enjoyed reading all of your comments out there, and had some great responses, and some great. Paulina said, "Yeah, surprised Borrowed Time wasn't chosen." That was a runner-up for me, but
Yeah, there's so many runner-ups.
there were
boy.
so many
Right.
runner-ups. I mean, it was tough. It was
Mhm.
it was really tough.
I had
But,
Working Class Hero on here as one. I had
Oh,
Yep.
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's I had Happy Christmas on here as one actually, but that's a
Yeah.
holiday song. So I said, oh, okay, I'll skip
Mhm.
that.
But yeah, you guys have had a lot of great lists yourselves, and I mean there are just so many wonderful songs to choose from. But thank you for sharing all of your favorites as well, and of course keep the conversation going. Let us know what your choices are. Oh yeah, Marcus, it was Beautiful Boy chosen. No,
Nope.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
it's a great song, but yeah,
yeah.
I
So I
mean,
love
Many
the
great
song.
songs.
might
Yeah.
be fatigue. I don't know, but no,
Yeah, it's all right.
no
Nobody picked.
offense.
Nobody picked "Do the Oz."
No,
I actually like that a
Nobody
lot.
picked starting over.
Nobody
no,
picked starting
Yeah,
over.
that's true.
Mm,
That's true.
yeah, that's
interesting.
Number
true.
Boy,
nine
whatever
Dream.
gets you
Number
through the
nine.
night.
Did somebody pick Number Nine Dream? Did you?
I
Yeah,
did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
mhm,
Tom did. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
yeah,
Nobody
Nobody
picked
picked
whatever
whatever gets you through
gets
the
you through the
night or
night.
cold
Yeah.
turkey.
Yeah.
yeah,
I may be more inclined to pick it now. I like the way it was mixed on this compilation. Give you some
yeah.
truth.
That made a big difference. That is true. Yeah.
Do we have time to get Ken and Joe's quick thoughts on Tug of War
Oh,
from what we did 2 weeks ago? Do you want to, Ken? Do you want to
Yeah, we could
say
do a quick
anything? Or
quick summary. Sure.
Yeah,
yeah,
I really enjoyed the show. And first of all, let me just say how much I admire Chip and Mark for the Eight Arms to Hold You book. It's been a pleasure for me to interview them. And I think that they deserve so much credit. It's probably the most essential solo Beatle book that's out there. I only
Mhm.
wish that it was updated
right?
up till
Yeah.
today. And I also think one thing that should be said about that book that very few people mention, and I found this out from interviewing them, is that, and I believe it was Mark that did all this, but all the concerts
Yeah.
that the four of them did, he listened to every single concert or every
Yeah.
bootleg so that he would know
That
all
was
the
Chip.
information.
Yeah.
That was Chip that did all that?
Mhm.
Or was that Mark? I think
That
it
was
was
Chip.
Mark.
That was
Okay,
Chip.
all right. Sorry, Chip. But
That's
anyway,
all right.
we owe a lot to them for putting out that book. But their comments about Tug of War, there's a lot that I didn't agree with at all. First of all, Ebony and Ivory is a song that I love from first listen. I still love it. I don't get how some people knock the song now. Yes, you may mention the fact it was #1 for 7 weeks in the country, and that means that people heard it and people liked it. You can talk all you
Yep.
want about having two superstars on the same record. That doesn't mean everyone's going to go out and run out and buy it. Most people heard the song and liked it and bought it. And one of the big reasons why Tug of War went to #1 as an album was because of Ebony and Ivory. I don't think that the duets hurt the album in any way. One of the few criticisms I'd ever make of Paul is that I wish he did more collaborating as a songwriter with other people and more vocal duets with other people. Especially, you learn how you always knew Paul was a great singer. When you sing with different people and you sound great doing it, the way that Paul sounded with Stevie Wonder or with Michael Jackson or other people later on, like George Michael. I wish that he would do more of that. I think one of the problems I shouldn't say problems, but Tug of War, I think, would have performed even better and had more longevity on the charts had the right singles been picked. I do love Take It Away. You can't argue the fact that it went to #10. I still think Ballroom Dancing is the greatest single that never was in Paul's career. And I do think that, despite what Mark said, What's That You're Doing should have been a single. And R&B stations were playing that. It wasn't, I think that could have been another hit. You've already got Ebony and Ivory as a major hit. What's That You're Doing? I think you got to ride the coattails in a way. You got to think at that time what would have worked. And I don't think the duets hurt the album in any way. I do think Get It is possibly the weakest song on the album, but it's still a fun track to listen to. I don't think the album stalled after Wanderlust, because I do like Get It. And I think Dress Me Up as a Robber is a real gem of a song that's overlooked. I love everything about it. Nowadays we're so used to Paul doing the falsetto voice. At the time, it was still fairly new. and I love all the Spanish guitar playing and Dress Me Up as a Robber. So I do think it's an outstanding album. You all agreed it was.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
one of
absolutely.
my favorites.
And the only other thing that I would say about something that Mark said, George Martin deserves a ton of credit for the production on Tug of War. When it comes to orchestration on a Paul McCartney song, no one does it better than George Martin, whether in the Beatle years or on Tug of War or Live and Let Die, or, and the brass stuff that he added to the Tug of War album, Ballroom Dancing, Wanderlust. You couldn't find anybody better than George Martin. But he made a comment about how Paul needed help editing on the album, and there's no doubt what George Martin brought as a producer and an arranger was fantastic, but I don't know how much George brought as far as the songwriting goes to the songs. Those are still mainly Paul's work. He developed the songs, and then George added a lot with his arrangements and with the orchestration, and it was stunning. Songs that I mentioned, Tug of War, Take It Away, Here Today, the strings on it, Ballroom Dancing, Wanderlust. George Martin deserves a ton of credit, but the songs are still Paul's songs, his own compositions. And I don't know how much George Martin contributed there in terms of, the structure of the songs, fleshing them out. So I think Paul deserves the credit for the songwriting there. Probably totally. Unless we hear anything different. But otherwise, it's a great show. It doesn't matter to me whether or not I have someone with a different opinion than mine, as long as you know the music really well. And those two guys certainly are experts. And we should praise them for that book they put up.
That book that I want to get a hard copy of, a physical copy of. I can't get one. Yeah, that's right. Show it off.
Helps you build muscles.
Whatever you do.
Yeah. I this book is always by my side.
Yeah, everything's by your side at your fingertips.
Everything is in that room.
Touche.
Everything we need is in Tom's room.
Yes,
that's right.
Some thoughts on Tug of War. You want me to?
Yeah.
Well, basically, I remember so vividly when it came out in April of '82. It just blew me away. It was like Paul's masterpiece in a way. The first one in many years. Felt like many years. I loved. Again, you always got to qualify this. You always say, wait a minute. I love Back to the Egg. I really enjoyed McCartney too. But you know what I mean. This was considered. Wow, this is really like a gem. This album, and the George Martin production is the first thing that stood out to me. And just it's such a well produced album. I like all the songs on it except for Get It is probably my least favorite, and Dress Me Up as a Robber. I'd rather have it on there than not, but those are my two weak tracks. Get It and Dress Me Up as a Robber. Ebony and Ivory, I loved it at the time. I still like it. It's really strange because it was such a big hit, and I agree that that's probably what helps really sell the album, was because that was on there. It was such a big hit. I just don't understand why it's so disliked by so many today.
Yeah.
And I think Paul even had it in 1989,
right,
in his
song
set list, and then he stopped playing it. And I'm wondering, I wonder why that has a different reputation these days. Why maybe it's thought of as hokey or something now. I still enjoy it. But it's funny. It's just generally a lot of fans, I don't know. They think it's kind of corny or something these days.
It's weird.
I don't quite get that. I love What's That You're Doing? Stevie Wonder. I never really thought about the idea of it being a single. That could have worked. I think it would have been a good idea. But Ballroom Dancing, I've said for a long time, I agree, is a McCartney single that should have been, that never was, would have done well, I think. Kind of like how Don't Let Me Wait Too Long for George Harrison would have been a good single. I don't, for Living in the Material World, never was. And just some other thoughts that I have just jotted down a little. I also think that a lot of people were kind of confused and disoriented from McCartney 2. in 1980, and I think that also helped make Tug of War such a big hit. Not to say it wouldn't have been anyway. I think it would have been. Just, even if it had followed Back to the Egg, I think it would have been just as enjoyable. But I think for some people, it's like, oh, I'm so glad now we're getting more of a conventional kind of McCartney, instead of him experimenting around with ideas and effects and things for McCartney too. And that's it. I don't know. I hesitate to say this, as much as it's a terrific album, was then and still is now. For me, it's something is a little less of it now. I find it wearing off a little. It's not as outstanding to me as it was then. If I was going to make my list, it wouldn't be in my top 5, for example. It wouldn't be too far behind after that, but it wouldn't be my top 5. I don't know why. Just some of the luster went off it over the decades for me.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, thanks for sharing your thoughts on Tug of War. So, all right. I guess then that wraps up our latest edition of Talk More Talk. So, we will go around and just let everybody know what we're up to. And before we do, let me just quickly say that you can reach us, of course, on Facebook. Just look up Talk More Talk, a Solo Beatles video cast. You can reach us right here on our YouTube channel, and please subscribe. We're still, we have strong numbers, but we want to get those numbers up. So
we need 1 million.
We need 1 million. That's right. And we can do it. We can do it, guys. So just hit that subscribe button, and
subscribers, they're going up.
And so tell your friends, tell fellow solo fans to check out our channel. You can also hear us on Fab4 Radio. So big thank you to Beatle Ed, who runs many of our other shows on his internet radio station. So thank you to him. Do check us out there. You can find us on Twitter at Talk More Talk 1. That's the number 1. On our webpage at talkmoretalk.com. And of course, you can email us. We always welcome your feedback. And if you have any ideas for future shows, you can let us know that. You just may see one of your ideas on a future episode.
Right.
So you can email us at talkmoresolotalk@gmail.com. So I think that's everywhere we can be reached. Oh, and you can find us on any podcast platform you can think of if you prefer hearing the audio version. So please check us out anywhere there, and subscribe to whatever it's iTunes, iHeartRadio, whatever your choice is. Please hit the subscribe button there as well. So, all right. So let's go around and see what everybody's up to. So let's start with Joe. What are you up to?
Well, first of all, you have to please subscribe to Mean Mr. Mayo on YouTube. And I know a lot of you already are. Thank you. But subscribe for all the best stuff that you'll find with Beatles, solo Beatles, rant videos, movie stuff, record store visit, vinyl collecting, flea marketing, and other goodies. But anyway, I did some videos about Paul's beginning of his tour, about Spokane. We talked about it here in Washington. You want to see what I thought more about it and leave your comments, pro or con, please do. And I recently was interviewed by Rachel, the Music Ma'am, and you can find a link if you go to my channel and you'll see a video. And if you want to have another 90 minutes with me, for whatever reason, we're in possession to do that. You can check out the interview. We get into more than just the Beatles. So I like that. I like talking about other stuff too. I mean, Beatles, you can get Beatled out. You can.
Yeah.
So that's it for me.
All right. Sounds good. Tom, how about you?
I will try to do this as quickly as possible. Okay. First, again, we hit the 1,000 subscriber goal on our YouTube channel, so thank you very much,
Yay.
and congratulations to Tim Allen. Your prizes are in the mail as of today, so hopefully you get them soon. So thank you to everybody that entered the contest and everybody that has subscribed since then. We're growing even more now, so it's great to see the channel to continue to grow. Our latest show that was just posted this weekend, we had Adrian Allen back on the show, who just wrote a new book called Paul McCartney, The World Tour, 89 to 90. So this was a continuation of his Wings Live book. So it looks like he's going to continue these live books. We talked about the tour. I just did an interview with Joan Borelli, who was at the first show. She came on after the show. We had a great time talking. Like you said, this was her 68th time seeing Paul live, and more shows coming. We're going to be live tomorrow, which is Tuesday the 3rd, to talk to a friend who's at the show right now, and it's getting ready to start. It's minutes away. We're going to be seeing the songs here real soon. And then we also on Two Legs did a Tug of War special as well with Mitch Axelrod from the Fab Four Free for All site. So check that out. That's doing well. Also, earlier this month, we had Ken Michaels back on the show for our Friend Like You series, which involves songs from the 80s and 90s that Paul did for other people in their careers. So, albums, soundtracks, compilations. These are all songs Paul did for other individuals and other compilation and soundtracks. So that was a lot of fun. And the 70s, my God, Ken, I was working on that list, and it's massive. It's massive.
Oh, wait a minute. This just in. I can't believe it. Paul started the show with Karina Crowley.
What?
He said something about Talk More Talk. Just gave me the idea off the cuff.
Excellent.
And he's going to follow that with Luke.
Yes. And then Rockestra, save that voice, right? Anyways, but thank you. So please check out the YouTube channel, Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast, and subscribe, and email us at twolegspodcast@gmail.com, and more stuff coming. Thank you.
All right. Sounds good. Okay, Ken, what are you doing these days?
Yeah, thank you, Tom. That was great being on your show again.
Yeah.
I was a third leg.
Yes, you were. You were. And
One
he
of
was the
these
first.
days,
He was
folks.
the first member of the Six Timers Club. Saturday Night Live has the Five Timers. Ken was the first member of the six. So we can call like the Six Leggers or something like that.
You like get a street jacket or anything?
Yeah, it's in the mail. Yeah, sure. Tom Hanks will be there to help you make sure it fits. All right.
Okay. Make sure Steve Martin's there too.
Yes,
Yep.
You got it.
All right. On my other podcast, Things We Said Today, we'll be doing a show this week. Another show on Tug of War, looking back on it. Another 40th anniversary. Hey, the more the merrier, because that album deserves it. Also, let's see, Ken Michaels Radio, my YouTube channel, just did an interview with Skylar Moody, and she's someone that we all just met at the Fest for Beatles Fans. We did a media panel on the Beatles, and Skylar has a TikTok channel, and there's a lot of Beatles content on that. So we talked about not only the channel, but how she became a Beatle fan and what music from the Beatles she's fascinated with. What does she like of the solo Beatles? She's a young fan, I'm guessing early 20s. But it's always important to have on shows like these the younger generation to know what they're thinking about the Beatles, because you've always got to get young people to discover this music, because if you don't, the fan base gets older and they die off. You got to always have new fans out there. And at some point, these people will be carrying the torch.
That's right.
And doing, shows like ours and being the major names. And that's why I welcome, and we all have, the Ethan Alexanians out there, Sam Wiles, all doing great work on the Beatles right now. Skylar's on the channel. Al Sussman was just on for another show, and we looked back at the year 1964 and remembered New York radio at the time, what the top 40 stations were doing, how they were handling the Beatles and the Beatles' invasion of America. And I only remember 1964 for discovering the Beatles through I Want to Hold Your Hand and having a little transistor radio that I kept pressed to my ear all the time and hearing the top 40 stations and hearing nonstop Beatles all the time. But Al, being a little bit older than me, has a much more vivid memory of that time and of the DJs on the two of the top 40 radio stations in New York, WABC and WMCA, what it was like. One fascinating thing about that conversation, which I didn't know, of course I knew that there was constant Beatles airplay with so many hits, but I Want to Hold Your Hand hit #1 the first week of February nationally. But in New York, it was #1 the very beginning of January. So they caught on to the Beatles much, much faster than the rest of the country. It took a while for the whole country to get I Want to Hold Your Hand to #1. Actually, it was only 3 weeks on the charts and it was #1. But even still, in New York, it was much faster. And so, just that whole period, that first half of 1964 is so amazing to think of all the songs the Beatles had on the charts all at the same time. We always hear about the top 5 the first week of April of 1964. They actually had the following week 14 singles on the charts at the same time, not to mention the sales of their albums. So what was it like growing up at that time, hearing the Beatles on the radio with so many hits all at once? And then we even talked about the songs that John and Paul wrote for other people, like for Peter and Gordon and Billy J. Kramer. And what was that like? Having not only a lot of Beatle hits, but the Beatles on different labels having hits. So it was a pretty amazing time for sure. And it was great having Al on. So we did a show on that. I did a show with Sean Ross, who is a radio veteran of the last 40 years. He's worked for Billboard magazine and Radio and Records. It's all about radio these days and how relevant is radio as far as determining what records sell these days. Is it as important as it used to be? There's going to be a few more shows I'll be having up on my channel about radio very soon. And I'm going to have 2, possibly 3 interviews coming this week. And that's on Ken Michaels Radio. And if you can, please subscribe to it. Numbers are growing. It's close to 900. Please get it up there. Get it up to 1,000. I'm not going to be greedy. I'm not asking for 1 million just yet, but 1,000 will be. I'll be quite happy with 1,000. Okay. And on my website, kenmichaelsradio.com, I always have my weekly Beatles trivia. I'm doing a game this week called Writings on the Wall, based on George's song From Somewhere in England. And it all has to do with knowing a line or a quote that's in the packaging of a Beatle or solo Beatle album. So that's something that's different. I've done it before, but not that often. So if you can, play along with that on the Beatles trivia and games page at kenmichaelsradio.com. And you can win 1 out of 10 prizes, either books, DVDs, CDs, albums too, I think. And that's on my website. So I think that's everything.
All right. Always busy. Absolutely. And mine is just really quick. I have a review up that just went up today for a site I haven't written for a while, Cinema Centuries. And it's about a new DVD. It's a documentary called How They Got Over, which is about how gospel quartets between the 20s through the 50s helped basically invent rock and roll. It's a fascinating documentary. So that is up at cinemacenturies.com. So go check that out. And I think you'll find it an interesting review and hopefully will inspire you to go check out the documentary. And I have some more reviews hopefully coming very soon. So just head over to my Facebook page and or follow me on Twitter at Kid O'Toole, and you will get all the latest as to when my reviews will be going up. So I think that is everything. So this has been a lot of fun. Always a pleasure to spend Monday nights with you guys and with all of you out there. So we look forward to the next episode. So for Tom Hunyadi, Joe Mayo, and Ken Michaels, this is Kid O'Toole saying, nobody told me there'd be days like these. Strange days indeed. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Good